purpose of the visit for me was a chance to go with a delegation, but my purpose was to talk to potential Chinese investors and suppliers of hydroelectric equipment for a hydroelectric scheme we have consented on the west coast, and we're now at the stage where we're capital raising and we're looking at suppliers for a plant and equipment. I was impressed with how enthusiastic the Chinese were. We're a tiny population compared with everywhere we went. Even their second and third tier cities dwarf those in New Zealand, but they were very enthusiastic, very considerate, and there was a lot of work put into ensuring that protocol was rolled out and that we were well looked after. A key thing is the language barrier between the Chinese. Their English is about as good, well, it's a lot better than our Chinese, but some sort of ability to convert dialogues which are technical in nature into a language that they can understand, or vice versa, is imperative. Okay. The Chinese are very interested in New Zealand. They're quite aware of they're proud of what their successes are, but they're aware of some of the limitations to what they're doing with environmental problems and with some of the issues of their food supply. And they see New Zealand as, I think, independent and producing quality produce, and also having, I was quite surprised that with relation to hydro, one of the potential investors was interested in a technology transfer from New Zealand to China, and he'd been involved in another hydro scheme and was interested in telemetry and some other specialist areas, and also he branched into water treatment and environmental problems. So this ability to move technology both ways, and I think they see New Zealand as being probably quite straightforward to deal with and independent, and having fantastic primary produce, but also technological skills which are not evenly distributed in China. Yeah, I think some things will spark up quickly, but overall, the Chinese think in very long time cycles. So we need to understand that and not expect things to move at lightning speed necessarily straight away in all areas, and that any benefits are going to be derived by continuing relationships and just spending time to develop confidence, exchange of information, and that way. Well, some of their demand, it's just a huge economy over there, but the things that we have here, broadly, they're very interested in, which is food, some technology, some of the value adds like extracts and nutraceuticals, but also tourism and an opportunity for their children to come out and learn English, experience another culture. It's a different world that we can offer them and a different experience. I was really impressed with Bill Finlater and the EDA and the way that trip had been organised. It was there's obviously been a lot of work gone into it, and it was well thought out, and we were really well received everywhere, and Bill was a very good diplomat, and people really liked him over there. Well, we were lucky that we had Grace there with us, and Grace is a businesswoman who's from Shanghai and a Chinese national who's moved to New Zealand, and not only could she, of course, speak fluent Mandarin and interpret for us, but she understood the nuances of not only language but also the cultural symbolism of what people were doing and what they actually meant when they would say something, which, if just translated, would not have given the real meaning of where they were at and what they were wanting, or what their intentions were. The nutraceuticals, that's potentially huge, I think, and there's absolutely fantastic foundation in Nelson with the likes of the Cawthron, who are doing internationally recognised research in this area, and then there's also people on the ground producing products. So that, you know, is the classic value add, leverage your primary production, your mussels and your seafood and your hops and so forth, Manuka honey. That sort of thing is high value, easy to ship. The Chinese love health products, so that's easy. And then your apples and pears and fish and other primary production, no problem. You know, there's a growing population, there's a growing middle class. It's really a marketing exercise from that angle. But there's also tourism. Tourism is Chinese coming here. They're interested in that. And they keep becoming more and more wealthy, so they have disposable income to travel. They would love to. This area would be a playground for them.